evening, viewers. Welcome once again to another edition of the Business Forum. This is a special edition called the GCCI at 50 Business Forum. We want to thank those that attended the forum, but for those of you that were not there, this is your opportunity to get a glimpse of what transpired. And it was attended by the Chief Executive Officer, GCCI, Mr. Aliou Seka, GCCI past President, Mr. Abdoulaye Touré, and the Honorable Minister of Trade. We want to take this opportunity again to thank everybody that participated.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adebayo. Thank you for a very good and insightful presentation, punctuated with very interesting stories. I was trying to see what message to take out from the 3 stories, and I think what was obvious was the fact that your name is now Adebayo Sanyang because you got money and all you could think of was go to the restaurant. So it's very obvious from now on, we'll call you Adebayo Sanyang. But the stories were very, very insightful and very, very apt for the occasion. It shows you that entrepreneurship, as all 3 of them have said, is all about the mindset. Now, as I said, our Excellency has done a fantastic job on the Empretech program. Now, the Empretech program, as you probably would know, was something that was innovated in Harvard University by David McClellan. And it started out in the Spanish-speaking countries. That is why the Empretech name is Spanish, derived from the word entrepreneurship and technology combined, because you cannot be entrepreneurial without also leveraging on technology. But one of the things that it did was that it looked at certain behavioral traits, because of course in economics you have monetary economics, fiscal economics, as also behavioral economics. So when we started the program, I recall the resident representative of the UN, Madam Ade, saying to us on the steering committee, I was privileged that the ministry thought I was adequately equipped to be the chair of the committee. And since I had Aliou Seka, I basically just said, okay, you can take the floor. But one of the things I did, and I always do that in everything that I do, I always make sure that if I'm head of an institution, I always have ladies to back me up. I'm serious. And I'm very serious about this. Josephine will confirm. I'm also now with West African Chartered College and West African International School, and she will tell you that Mrs. Jaban is the executive director. In the American Chamber of Commerce, I had Awakan. In NIB, I had Lucy. In the Marina School, I had Abi Bensouda. So if you have women, they are very loyal and they will never betray you, unlike my friends. So the more ladies you have, the more you can be easy and be comfortable that they will not desert you. But on a serious note, when this thing was done, I was looking at the behavioral aspects. And what was very clear, and I've always been asking this question, God in His infinite wisdom is is a fair player. And the way to confirm that He is very much, very, very fair is that I've been going around the world and I'm looking for a human being that has more than 24 hours a day. Any human being that has more than 24 hours a day, I have yet to find. Do you know anyone? Anybody that has more than 24 hours a day? I have not found one, madam. No? So that means that we all have 24 hours a day. So what makes the difference is how we use that 24 hours. If we use that 24 hours and sit in the corner and drink a lot of attire, we will be remembered as very good attire drinkers. But if you use it purposefully, then of course you will be remembered accordingly. Now, when I was made chair, I said, it doesn't make sense for me to go and chair Empretech when I'm not an Empretecho. So I took time out and went all the way to Basse to be trained as an Empretecho, even though I was the chairman of Empretech. So when I got there, I said, I want to be in a situation where when John Paul III was made a pope, he promised the world that nobody will go to bed hungry. And as destiny will have it, he became Pope. And people were still going to bed hungry. So he was approached and said, Your Holiness, you promised that if you become Pope, nobody will go to bed hungry. And now you have been Pope for 2 years and people are still going to bed hungry. He said, yes, when I made that promise, I was outside looking in. Now I'm inside looking out, and the perspectives have changed. So I didn't want the perspectives to change on me. That was why I trained as an empathic. And it was all about behavioral economics. And what we learned there was, regardless of your size, whether you are 7 feet tall or 3 feet tall, the size of your brain is only 1.8 kilos. So it is how you use the brain that what makes a difference. But the empathic model was premised on what is called the 3 C's, that regardless of where you are, regardless of the country you are in, regardless of the culture that you are in, regardless of the continent that you are in, those virtues transcend. Now, what has also become obvious, and this is where I want to give credit to Her Excellency. She is, I'm sure maybe most people have not yet, or maybe they have, but I hope they have not yet, so that I can claim to be the first to describe her as a social entrepreneur. Now, social entrepreneurship is the most important aspect of entrepreneurship as we speak. Now, why do I call her a social entrepreneur? Well, if you know her, you know what work she has done at Gangkok Trap. Formidable work she has done at Gangkok Trap in terms of changing behaviors and mindsets, so that female genital mutilation is now almost eradicated, not only in Gambia, but across Africa, thanks to her efforts. So that aspect of social entrepreneurship, because what I want to do is for you to make sure that you don't see entrepreneurship as being just profit-driven. It is more than profit-driven. In fact, the whole culture now is all about social entrepreneurship. Now, in the United States, of course, most of you would have had this management program. And before that, Lucy can confirm that we had done a comparative study between Singapore and the Gambia. And believe it or not, Gambia and Singapore got independence in 1965. In 1965, Gambia was more developed and more prosperous than Singapore. Okay, our per capita GDP in 1965 was $280, Singapore was $230. 52 years later, Singapore is $29,000 and Gambia is $500. So we're intrigued to find out what it was. And if you read Lingua News book, from third world to first world, in 50 years, he did it actually in 40 years. He says 3 things are responsible. Give your people skills, hard skills, soft skills, but give them skills. Give them quality, relevant education. But most importantly, make sure that you inculcate a positive mindset. A positive mindset. It is said that your attitude determines your altitude. So that is very, very fundamental. I know the Honorable Minister is very, very pragmatic and very passionate about women entrepreneurship. So one of the initiatives that we have launched and we are trying to encourage really is to establish first come, first serve women's only industrial estate. We've already got the facility. We've already identified some women that want to come on board. One of them is Yaboy. Unfortunately, she is not qualified, so she cannot have access. And we've also discussed with the banks to finance them, to have the collateral, to have the facility. Banking Jai, if you do a good business plan, it will also give you 45% grant. Of course, Our Excellency will always be there to support it. So what we are trying to do is to say, get a piece of factory space. Like if you're investing in Senegal, you go to Sodida or you go to Senegal. You don't have to worry about construction. You just go in with your machinery and you start operating. And I have, I think, 2 of my colleagues that were in Chicago are here. I want them to stand and be recognized by the Honorable Minister. Mr. Job and Fatu, I believe. Honorable Minister, these people paid on their own to go to the Chicago Process Expo. and we are banking on my good friend Banky to support their projects, to support their processing projects. Now, what is very interesting in the United States, and if you have time, look at TED Talks. There is a Chef Chan who's talking about the benefits of fonio, which is Findi. Now, Findi, if you go to the US, there is a similar product from South America called Kino, which is now widely used. The fonio, if you look at TED Talks, is far nutritious than Kino. But our fonio in the United States is not properly packaged. So once we get these people that have come from Chicago to package the fonio, we will be in a position to get into all the supermarkets in the United States. It's very nutritious and it's whole food. The second commodity we are trying to promote, which has been confirmed to have more vitamin C than orange juice, is baobab. It is baobab. The third one, which is our normal kikiriba and bolmor. It's been shown to have very significant health properties, together with the bisap or the wonjo or the hibiscus, as you call it. But we cannot expose those into the United States until and unless they are properly packaged. So I am challenging our ladies to get in touch with Mr. Sega, to get in touch with Banky, prepare business plans so that we can be able to get container loads into the US of these products. And one of the things that we have also taken is, Your Excellency, is that we have engaged the Gambians in the diaspora. We call them rappers, runaway professors. They are beginning to come back. Lucy is one of them. They have their 401k programs in the US. They have their house in the US. They are now ready to come to New Gambia, thanks to Her Excellency, Madam Aisatou, and her colleagues. Now, for them to come out, we have to reach out to them. So I have gone back to my alma mater, Morehouse College, which is the alma mater of Martin Luther King, and we have said to them that we want to partner with you to bring Gambians in the diaspora to your college, to bring Gambians from the Gambia to the United States. And my challenge to them was, America was developed by Gambians and Senegalese and Ghanaians using our muscle power. Now we have to use the muscle power, the mind power of Gambians in the diaspora and Gambians at home to reclaim Africa. So the program is called From Africa to America to Africa. And we are hoping that Her Excellency, Dr. Aisatou Touré, will head the delegation in March, and it's going to coincide with two events. One is the Poultry Expo, Poultry Meat and Feed Expo in Atlanta, which is the biggest expo of poultry, meat and feed anywhere in the world. And then it will also be punctuated with a financing, investment and entrepreneurship forum in Atlanta. So with your prayers, we hope it will happen middle of January. And we will, of course, count on my good friend Banky, on the executive directive of Her Excellency to support that venture. You know, we still have executive directives. So on that note, we have taken a bit of time, but I want to at least encourage you to use the expertise of our very eminent panelists to ask any questions that you may have. The floor is open.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Professor Dr. Abdoulaye Bakstouri. That's the real Chair Professor, by the way, I keep on saying that. Mine is more announcements, if I may, with your permission, very quickly. Coming into the business forum this morning and all throughout, you would have noticed the beautiful Mercedes black Benz parked outside. It's available for anybody who buys a ticket of $100 minimum. So I want the young ladies from the GCCI to quickly go around and make sure they sell $1 million here this afternoon. Since we have so many entrepreneurs and managers and directors around this room, I think that should be, CEOs of course, I think that should be easy. So can I have 3 or 4 leaders to quickly walk around whilst Mr. Touré continues with his engagement. Second point. The Chamber of Commerce hosted a pre-budget consultation with the Ministry of Finance. It's a pity the director had to leave. As Mr. Touré was saying, after lunch, I think it's the most difficult to keep a room full, but we thank you all for staying on. and keeping the conversation. And one of the things that we targeted ourselves, Dr. Ture, the Minister, is that a number of entrepreneurs and business leaders have decided that our current World Bank doing business ranking is not adequate. Currently, I believe we're 149 or 148. 145. Now, the idea is that we want to bring this down by a minimum 50 points in the next 12 months. And through this very, should I say, ambitious group, we've tasked 10 business leaders, managers, directors across the Gambia who will be championing individual variables. So I call upon, and with your permission, Dr. Ture, and my mentor, Chair Professor Ture, you will get to see and hear about this over the next few weeks. I call upon all of us to support this, including government, including, should we say, training institutions, public sector entrepreneurs, for us all to play a role. It will make a huge difference if we can actually reduce doing business in the Gambia rating by 50 points. It will make it a lot more attractive, not only for FDIs, but also for diaspora investment. That's one segment that we must never lose sight of. We all know the huge statistics of over $50 million minimum a year that comes through remittances. I believe that has grown. So there's no reason why we can't do better. And these just take little things and little activities and perhaps little efforts that if each of us embrace, we can make a difference. So I challenge the group of eminent business entrepreneurs and officials around this room for us to all work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. CEO. Thank you first of all for the commercial. We will send you an invoice for advertising. And on the doing business, I think is quite a useful initiative. And certainly we have what is called the GEDI, which is the Global Entrepreneurship Development Index. And I think what the point is that most of the good things that we are doing is not really filtering out. And once it begins to filter out, I am convinced that our ranking certainly will, will certainly be above what it is now. It's more for the fact that the information is not reaching out. And the more, communication and information sensitization we do, the better it will be for all of us. And of course, most investors now, before they go into any country, the first thing they look at is the Human Development Index. And Dr. Yao will also be pleased to know that the World Bank at the last annual meeting also launched a human development project, which is looking at human capacity. And they have committed a lot of resources to this new initiative. So it will be important for the policymakers as well as the regulators to be alive to the things that are happening, and also to look at how they can engage the World Bank for us to benefit from those programs. As Mr. Sanyang rightly pointed out, of course our excellence is also in the area of education. We are a bit concerned because if you look at the last WASP exam results, I always make the point to analyze it because I have a passion for education. We had, to make it graphic, I always say that the people that sat to the exams was 12121. Now, doctor will tell you that in computer science, 0101 means a lot. But in our education system, it was 12121, which means that 12,121 students sat to the WASP exams. Regrettably and unfortunately, only 369 boys had 5 O levels, including English and maths, and only 179 girls had O levels, including English and maths. That effectively means that our pass rate at WASP exam was 2.5%. 2.5%. And I recall seeing a mission from the World Bank report recently, and they raised the alarm, and of course all of us are concerned. And they came up with a catchphrase that what is happening in Gambia is quote-unquote schooling without learning. But we owe it to our next generation to change that narrative. On the side of the university, of course, things are moving on. There is a new campus coming up. But all of us must be engaged in making sure that we change the narrative. And also, to some extent, I know it used to be very active in terms of introducing programs on literacy, national literacy, that is also important. But in the past, of course, we didn't have a NACA. Now we have a NACA, we have a dynamic CEO, we have the university, we have the association. And I think with the new Gambia, we are hopeful that things will begin to change and change systematically and progressively. Any other comments from anyone on the brilliant presentations we have had so far? On behalf of Her Excellency the Minister, we want to thank our good friend Dr. Jao. We want to thank Mr. Sanya and Mr. Adebayo Sanya for very insightful presentations and allow the Minister to give us her words of wisdom on this very important.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, and thanks to all of you for really staying all throughout the day. Like you said, after lunch, a lot of people do try to sneak out, and also it's all about attitude. And I urge all of us to continue with this positive spirit of coming together, because this is the new Gambia. We have to change our attitudes if we want to really move. We have inherited a very difficult situation, and as a government, we are ready to take responsibility. We cannot exonerate ourselves from whatever we have inherited, because that is what is to lead. As a result, the changes and the positive changes we are calling for requires everybody to take part in whatever efforts that are being made for us to move further the Gambia and to achieve our aspirations as discussed today. I also want to thank all the members who have been here, who gave us great insights, both within and outside, with the didactic stories that we have gained listen to about how we move on to develop the spirit of entrepreneurship. Looking at their presentations, I think they've touched on the heart of some of the issues that I was interested in hearing, and I am happy to say that we are moving in the right direction. First and foremost, just to talk to you about the doing business rating in the Gambia. You know, these are indicators, these are development indicators that affect almost all countries throughout the world, and there are frameworks in which all these issues are brought in. If it is economics, if it is agriculture, if it is human rights, good governance, and so on. So with regards to doing business, there is a whole indicator, a set of related indicators that needs to be fulfilled for us to be able to qualify for certain benefits and responsibilities and recognition, which has affected the Gambia because they have not been respected. Now, to deal with those things, I believe it's not magical. It's about following the right steps, following systems and procedures, applying the right procedures to enable us score the marks. And any country for that matter, who follows the rule of law, good governance, respect for fundamental freedoms and human rights, expression of business, and also going by true transparency of our economic systems and so on, your indicators will change. And I am telling you that that was the first set of things I actually looked at when I came in to be part of this coalition government. I am after systems approach to development, looking at what are some of the factors that has created Gambia as a parallel state and why are we not growing. And part of that was doing business as an indicator, including many other aspects of human rights and governance that may not qualify us for many things. Now I want to tell you that these are changing. But you know, they have to go through procedural processes like assessments. A lot of assessments have been done and we are hopefully waiting for the results, which I am sure will be positive. So we're going to definitely move forward and there's going to be improvement. But people have to understand that these are things, all the issues that we are bringing, they are constructive criticisms. because of the way we were governed and the way institutions were being used. And now, this current government, and I'm happy with the deliberations this morning, during this process, you have talked about the improvements in the central bank, improvements with institutions, and all the other factors that have to actually deal with business. Obviously, it will be reflected in the assessment. You also go through a peer review mechanism, and that peer review mechanism also asks certain questions whether these things are going on, and that also will allow. Even coming back to the Commonwealth, we have undergone an assessment. And all these other bilateral or international recognized frameworks that all countries have to adhere to, the Gambia is now going through it, and we are beginning to see our weaknesses and trying to address them. So it requires process, time, and professionalism to do it, and we are doing that. I'm happy to tell you that that one is going. So I think the ranking is going to, when another report comes out, Gambia definitely will shoot up very positively, just like the economics. Now you come to education. Remember, Gambia has very intelligent people, and if you look all over the world, between 1994 to 2015, there was a mass exodus of our highly educated, technically skilled people who left the country not because they were not patriotic, but because of circumstances surrounding them. Now, when they go out, we all see the high positions and the engagements they take into the world of technology, professions, and so on. That tells you that Gambians are very good. But then why is that so? It's because of the type of environment that we have. You want to imprison educated people, you want to imprison thinkers, you want to imprison people who have guts to talk about it or have, are working according to standards. You want them, people will leave. That affected us, and there was this mass exodus, and it affected also the quality of teachers within the system. There were hardly any opportunities. Institutions were not funded. Teachers in colleges were not given the right type of, I'm a trained teacher, and I know when I went to the college, the type of training and placement I got, and the type of teachers I had. Now, compared to what we have now, because of what? Lack of resources, lack of respect, and also not giving priority to the education system. And as a result, it affected a mass exodus of teachers, rats, runaway teachers. So many teachers left. And also, because there are a lack of materials and so on, it will affect the teaching, learning environment, for that matter. Even if you are interested, imagine giving people $50,000 to party instead of buying them chairs and books and papers. You all saw that here. And teachers, head teachers were being imprisoned or were being dismissed because they used part of that money to buy books and papers, and I said, no, I told you to party. We all know that, let's not forget. I'm just trying for us to understand. Now, you have a system like that, it has a rippling effect on that system. And we must understand the analysis, not only basing it on performance, but why was performance down? What were the critical elements that were supposed to have created the environment for people to perform and be able to do? When your parents are in prison, who's going to pay your school fees? You said your education is free, but it's not free. I have experience in my organization then, over 500 parents who came and who we were sponsoring to go to school when the former president said he has created a scholarship and there was no need, and immediately our sponsors called and said there is no need to give you scholarships to help these girls to go to school, so now we are closing that chapter abruptly. So Kenya did affected many, and what type of support is there? So these are some of the issues that we looked at, and that has also affected because parents cannot afford it, and because teachers are not given the opportunity, the enabling environment was not very friendly. Then also, it was not like allowing the technocrats or the technical people to design and work according to the curriculum and so on. Things change, and of course, you can see that lackadaisical attitude within the system that has a whole component of this thing, not because teachers may not be good, but because the good ones, many have left. The few that remain are overwhelmed, and of course the quality of education will definitely go down. But we hope, and we are doing our best, because we have veteran educationists who is the minister, and also someone who has been in the system, who are now working with us, and we are aware of the poor results, the poor quality, and there's a lot of innovation and transformation that is going to take place, and I can assure you, like the private sector has a role to play. You need to bring in the private individuals, institutions, to be part of that process. But what is most key is quality and standards. If we have quality and standards, looking at all the other ingredients, I think we will be able to change that, so that the fact that we are having schooling without learning is indeed going to be a temporary but apt capture of the situation. I just want to share one insight with you, that I am very happy today to be here. When I left you, I went out to give a press briefing on the project, Youth Empowerment Project. And this has correlation with what you people are doing. At the end of the day, when the project ends, we're going to have a number of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, who are going to be the engine of growth and who have to be part of the GCCI family, who have to also engage with you people. And for me, that connectivity I saw there gives me hope that the Gambia is going to move, the Gambia is going to change. And I urge all of us that it is a responsibility of all of us, with all the brains that are saying, honestly, I'm proud of my country, with all the brains and efforts that are going and everybody within to come. I want to specifically take this opportunity to assure the diaspora, and this has been a message from His Excellency the President, who is always saying that we have to open doors for the Gambian in the diaspora, because they have been very instrumental in this change, and that is true. You have the opportunities have opened up the doors to have experiences from others, bring the best practices. This morning we have been talking about best practices, knowledge sharing, skills sharing, and so on. So bringing in those best practices, people taking lead, being champions of change, that is also going to make a big change in this country. The population is not large. So if we are able to engage and have focus, because I'm talking about focus, we have to focus. If you don't focus, you will not succeed in entrepreneurship, because like you said, if you take it out of necessity, then when there is a problem. But even if you are out because you are instrumentally motivated and you want to do something, innovation comes there, creativity comes there, focus comes there, and so many other things that are talking. And I believe that the fact that there is that gender responsiveness, that the millions I am talking about, is not something that is difficult to get. There are so many things that people take for granted in the streets, that people take for granted, little things to create that job, to engage in those things that will bring you money. And if you look at, I want to take our sisters, country Senegalese, who are here. They come with a sack, actually looking for where to stay when they come, but they come and engage with our economy and end up buying houses, doing a lot. Why can't Gambians do it also? We can, but because we are too much white-collar conscious jobs, that is the problem. Who told you that we cannot have a cleansing service that can be privatized and engage young people to engage in them? Who told you that we can create a market where the young people can engage to make sure that in that market, people get their returns on a daily basis, in which they themselves get commissions and support them for other things? So many little things. If you look at the environment, maybe because I lived in Nigeria for over 14 years and I have developed that entrepreneurship skill and I've seen how people make something out of nothing. So that is something that I am coming with, and thanks to my exposure to Nigeria and other countries. So Gambians must learn to be innovative. We must try to be proactive. Let us be passionate about whatever we are doing. We selling these little things. Women do a lot of retail trading. In that retail trading and the Osusu phenomenon, you can get a lot of opportunities. And also, if everybody engages into something and not to depend on one person taking up 25 people who are able-bodied, strong and healthy, but because this one is earning, everybody sits down to wait, that person will never address poverty. So these are the things that we have to change our attitudes. Let us help each other, support each other, and support people who have the potential to grow, whilst we give them and recognize them so that we learn from them and not to undermine each other. I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that very brilliant summation of everything that has transpired all of this morning. We owe you a debt of gratitude for sacrificing your time, for staying the course, for being with us, and also for been very passionate about what you have so eloquently established, and for your desire, and for your love for country, and for your vision and belief in that, yes, indeed, the new Gambia can make it, and it can make it sooner rather than later. We applaud you and celebrate you and inform you without fear of contradiction from Aduseka. We are with you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Abdullah Toure. I keep on saying we have to get rid of the false ones. So until we all can remember, almost systematically, that we have a real chef professor in house now. Please stay seated. We've now come to the end of the day, and I'm going to ask someone else to give the vote of thanks. Mrs. Beatrice Wood, by the way, so just take note. But I also wanted to thank, we have Vision Global here, this team of young men. Please raise your hand so that you can be acknowledged. We've also set up their business and have acted as repertoires. So in the next few days, once their report is concluded, we will share this by email to everybody who has signed in today. So we thank them and we encourage them again. We've had a great day, but I haven't seen the $1 million seat that I wanted to collect for that beautiful Mercedes-Benz C-Class. There's still a chance, or Dr. Joe has not bought any yet. Okay, maybe, don't worry, 100,000. I won't put too much trouble on you. Aji Sali, can you see Dr. Joe so that he can give you his $100,000 check? Tunkara, have you paid yours? Have you bought your ticket?
I have my tickets from the dinner, sir.
Oh, you do have, okay. Who has it? What about the Central Bank Governor's representative? The banker's bank. Aji Sali, can you see Mr. Jame? I think he doesn't want to declare how much he wants to buy as well.
Famous Mr. Banky?
Oh, Banky, yes, of course. Mr. Turek, Professor Turek keeps on talking about the huge post that Banky has.
I've bought so many tickets now, and I think by now you should probably be able to show maybe 2 or 3 cards. Something that's pretty fair. I think you should have a timeline when you're going to draw a raffle.
It's May. It's at the next annual dinner when we will celebrate.
I don't want to die and not
Don't worry, you can will it to me. I'll be your brother, as always. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let me pass you on to Beatrice Budge, and who will give us the vote of thanks. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, members of the High Table, my CEO, members, it's been a very long day. So I'll make it short, I'll keep it short. I would like to begin with thanking our Honorable Minister. This is what the private sector needs. This is what our members need. There was a time the members would be upset with us and they'll tell us, president. But today, members, I'm very proud that we will do beyond your expectations. So thank you very much, and we hope we'll have many more opportunities to spend the whole day with you, and especially with the positive outcomes that you've already given us. Because I've also been cautioned that our members have attended many fora like this, and nothing has come out of it. But this one, everybody, be rest assured, if you know my CEO, go to sleep. Something will surely come out of it. So I want to thank our panelists, every one of them, for the brilliant job and the informative presentations that we all received since this morning. Most importantly also, I would like to thank our facilitators. Is it Chef Professor Backstory?
No Babylon answer.
Okay, I will drop that one.
No Babylon answer, just a Chef Professor.
Mr. Aliunjai, for putting this whole program on track. We worked very closely with Mr. Toure. As you all know, he's a past president of the chamber. So we look forward to going to his office and working together and learning a lot. So a big thank you to you. steering the board. And also to all our past presidents and past CEOs. We really want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank all past CEOs and all past presidents and board members of the GCCI. Now let me also thank the participants. Without you, it would not have been a possibility at all. We worked with you over these days. I'm sure you were overwhelmed with our calls. Sometimes people call, man, I'm not going to call the home, but this is it. This is what we wanted, and here we are. We've all registered success together. Let me also thank our partners, NEMA, Banki. That's why we call on Banki so much. When Sarata cautioned you about, you said you wanted 2 minutes and she said 1, and I said to myself, Sarata, be careful. If Banki also does the same thing, it may be a little bit difficult for us. So let's just go with what he said. And also the current board of GCCI. I cannot finish but thank all of you for the support and for your guidance in terms of policy and also moving GCCI to the other level. Finally, the sponsors, Q Group. Mr. Tonkara, could you please extend our sincere gratitude to Mr. Jack for agreeing to be one of the sponsors for the day. I know Standard Chartered is left, but he's done a fantastic job, and we want to thank him also, in addition for the sponsorship. Last but not the least, Fly Mid Africa. We want to really thank you for being the sponsors of this event as well, and we hope that together we will work hard. I just want to also take the opportunity to thank the hotel and its staff for making the room conducive to all of us. And a special thanks to you, Lucy Pai, for agreeing to be part of us for the whole day. The staff, GCCI staff, last but not the least, thank you everybody, particularly my colleague Sarah. A lot of work has been done by the staff led by Sarata some time ago, and we've seen the finished product today. So congratulations to CEO and the whole team. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching this segment of the forum. We'll be back again next week with another segment of the special edition of the GCCI at 50 Forum. I'm your host, Beatrice Mboj, saying good night.